the next question is, hey man, would you have given me $10 for this meal? Because giving free food away and people praising it is not a business. Everyone's like, oh my God, you should sell your pastries on. Well, there's a difference between people praising you and saying you're doing something good and people saying, here's my money.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Behind the Small Business Podcast. My name is Kevin Dandino. I am here every time, and I am more than happy to be with you here every time because we have some fantastic conversations. Today is not going to be any different from any of the other previous episodes you guys have seen. We have a great guest. It's going to be a great conversation, so stick around for that. First, guys, remember this is brought to you by Centennial State Insurance Agency. So if you're in the market for any kind of insurance, whether it's personal or commercial, whatever, feel free to give us a call. Please reach out to us, 303-838-0554. We'd be more than happy to get you a quote and see if there's anything we can do to help you out and get you over with us there. So give us a call today, and again, give us a chance. With that being said, guys, I got Ben here from Full Afterburner Calzones here with me today. Ben, first off, just how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Kevin?
Hey, dude, it's a great day. It's a beautiful Monday. I know the weather's changing for me. I like the cold, so I'm getting happy this time of year. But I know the summer lovers are not. So
We were supposed to get a turnaround from 77 degrees into some snow here real fast.
and I'm all here for it, man. Well, hey, Ben, I got to finally meet you over at Afterburner a couple of weeks ago now, and my wife and I have been there. What, 5, 6, 7, 8 times over the last few years, and we just absolutely. Yeah, I know, right? Exactly. And part of it, honestly, it's like anytime we go downtown Denver for something, I'm not even kidding. Like, we have Afterburner as part of that lineup. Like, when are we gonna? Is it before or after the event that we're going to Afterburner? Because like, why try anything else? But seriously, you guys, it's always great food, great service. Your employees have always been so nice to us. But I want to hand it over to you, man. Introduce yourself, tell us about Afterburner, and let's get this conversation rolling.
Okay, my name is Ben Todd, and I run Full Afterburner Calzones. So, let's see. I was an IT guy for a long time when I first moved to Denver about 13 years ago. And I remember saying to one of my bosses, if this job doesn't work out, I think I'll just start a food truck. So that job didn't work out, and we had already started building the food truck anyway. So it was almost like we were headed on that path anyway, you slice it. And when I say we, I mean my wife and I, we built the first food trailer together. One of my favorite pictures is taking pictures of her working incredibly hard. So we made sure to turn every screw in there together. And so we built that and did food trucking for 2 years, mostly downtown Denver, and a couple of catering gigs, around the city. And then we got our shot at a brick and mortar, and we thought Broadway has a lot of foot traffic. Let's go for it. And it's kind of a theme in most of the accomplishments in my life. I think the theme is bite off more than you can chew. So if you bite off more than you can chew, it usually works out great. I've got a few stories where it does not work out great. So,
sure.
But they're great stories anyway, no matter what.
No. Definitely.
So we got our first brick and mortar, which is the one you guys have been in, and we're 5 years deep on that now. We'll be working on our 6th year coming up in January. We opened right in the middle of COVID, January 2021. So that was tough, but it also taught us how to eliminate things that were not mandatory. That was a tough time to open, but it's a fast casual place, so we don't have linens and servers and water glasses and commercial dishwashing, giant things that you have to process 1,000 dishes through and 5 employees on a Tuesday. Like, we had to figure out how to streamline everything. And now we've got it down where one person can run it, one person can run the whole show if they know what they're doing. And my wife and I know what we're doing, so we're pretty good at it. And we like teaching other people how to do it too. And I find that my main job there is to not only give them an opportunity to have a job, but also to figure out what they have in common with the fighter jet culture that they can share with other people. Because I never want my employees to say, I don't know. That's Ben's thing. When people ask what's with the Jets, why is this fighter jet themed? I always want them to be able to connect in their own way. And it turns out
Hmm.
most of our customers and our employees and everybody, they have some connection to that fighter jet culture that they probably just didn't know about. Whether it's uh, just last night, I was talking to somebody and she said, I was like, what's your connection probably to this fighter jet culture? And she goes, oh, my husband's in the Marine Reserves right now. And I was like, he's probably seen a lot of fighter jets up close then. He's like, yeah, and I've got to go on the tarmac. It's just a conversation starter that becomes really fun. Then when we put
Yeah.
the calzone in their hand, and they always love it, they get this sort of spotlight over their head that's like, oh my God, what did you just do to me? I'm having a good time and I'm having great food. This is so weird. So many people are used to that fast casual being come in, order, get out.
Yeah.
So we try to make that happen with most of the customers, and it's, I guess, what we're doing right. I think a lot of restaurants and businesses in general. I mean, this is like my 12th business. I think most businesses
Hmm.
fail inside the first year.
Yep.
Plenty of mine have. Full Afterburner has been one that's had some success, had the most success of any business I've run, and I guess we're doing something right. Also, the food is good. So that's a
Yeah, it
little bit
is.
about who I am and what Full Afterburner is and does, and um, I guess our lease comes up for renegotiation in 18 months, and I hope that we can work out a favorable deal because we get a lot of great feedback where a lot of people really like what we're doing and the fact that we're not a chain and we're not a food type that's like it's not. I love tacos. I'm a taco guy, but
Hmm.
like it's not another taco shop. It's not another donut
Yep.
shop. It's not another burger shop. There's 1,000 of those. I don't think there's only one other calzone place I know of that's I hate to give them free publicity, but DP Dough's
Yeah.
been around since 1987.
Yeah.
Um, and then most pizza places think they have a calzone, but they really just ought to drop out of the competition.
Right.
It's really not fair.
No,
So,
I'll be honest. The food is very good. Yeah, you can tell it's made with fresh ingredients. You get to see them making it right there in front of you too. Like there's no frozen stuff. You don't see microwaves being used, nothing like that. So I mean, the food is fantastic. And then you're right, you add the atmosphere. For me, having been in the Air Force and being in love with jets since I could remember, this is my go-to place. I am happy here. When you have the loop of all the different air show clips and everything going on in the background. It's like I love it. So my wife's like, yeah, okay, we can go there because yeah. But like it's interesting, like you said, there's a couple things to unpack there. The first thing I kind of want to ask you about opening during COVID. I've had conversations with the various number of business owners here who were open during COVID, but nobody that tried to open a business in the middle of it there. So, you talked about streamlining it and stuff. What kind of things do you think like you took away from that? And also talking about your other businesses beforehand that were just other than just streamlining, but like what were the big takeaways that you learned from that maybe opened your eyes to say, this is a different way of me being able to do business that's going to benefit me down the line, even after COVID?
well, the number one thing that I've learned that I try to pass on, because I've got a lot of friends in the food business, and everybody thinks they're the next big thing when it comes to a recipe or an idea for a business. There's that old, saying of, "Oh my God, you know what we should do," and it always starts with a great idea. But what I've learned over all these businesses and failures is it really shouldn't start with, "Oh my God, you know what we should do." It's not the idea. You can't start a business with an idea. If you do, you're
Hmm.
incredibly lucky, and you can't be lucky in everything you do. And the one thing you want to be lucky in is business, and we never are. It's always the hard way, you know.
Yeah.
So instead of starting with, you know what we should do, what you have to start with is a customer. Somebody has to already be willing to say, you know what I would pay for. And if you can start with a customer, it's likely you'll get a second and a third, and maybe you'll discover a market, or maybe you start with a market that already exists. Um, if you start with that approach instead of starting with, I know how I should change this, you usually have a little bit more success. It's That's kind of antithetical to what most business stuff out there will preach because
Hmm.
they want you to look for how to disrupt a market, how to turn it
Yeah.
on its head, or how to add something new. Those are wonderful ideas, but the essence of business is getting people to agree with you with their money. So
Mm.
you might say, you know what, instead of building buildings from the bottom up, I think we should build them from the top down. It's like, cool, that's a great idea. Maybe it works. Maybe it's efficient. Maybe it's your stamp on building buildings.
Yeah.
But can you get someone to pay you to do it?
Yeah.
If you can't, you don't have a business. You have an idea. Maybe even worse,
Yeah.
a bad idea, you know?
Mm. Hmm.
So that's been the difficult thing. One of my first businesses was called doggyxl.com. And I had a Great Dane for a long time. He lasted 10 years. They usually last about 6 to 7 years. Mine lasted 10. So I felt pretty great. But I
Yeah.
started this. I would take him to the dog park in the winter. And Great Danes are short hair, right? So they're not particularly warm creatures. And mine wasn't full of energy at 6 or 7 years old. So he was just kind of
Mhm.
cold. So I could put my hoodie on my Great Dane. The problem is their bellies kind of go like this.
Right. They have a curve. Yeah.
And the hoodies go like this.
Right.
So he would always pee straight into the hood. And I was like, this is stupid. There's got to be a better way. Oh my God, you know what we should do? So I created a Great Dane shirt that was made of microfiber materials that were
Hmm.
anti microbial. So your dog could roll around and poop, and like you just take the shirt off and wash the shirt.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
They were custom tailored to my Great Dane's body size, which I thought was pretty average. And my wife and I took it to the Great Dane National Show to see how many. I mean, those people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on their Great Danes.
Yeah.
When you go to the national show, there were people who showed up in big RVs with like Great Dane logos and stuff.
Oh, jeez.
And we only sold like 5.
Huh.
And I don't know why. I thought Great Dane people were always nuts about their Great Dane, but there just wasn't a business. There was an idea, but there wasn't really a business.
Yeah.
So I kept it alive for a long time, and it's still on Etsy now. But I even let the domain expire because I would sell 1 or 2 shirts a month, maybe. And we still think they're fantastic and great. And I've got a ton of inventory that I paid $8,000 for, to build them in bulk so I could get a low cost so I could make a profit. Like my brain works really well when it comes to doing the math and the spreadsheets to see if a business is viable as far as scaling or, being efficient. But the number one thing you got to start with is, do we have a customer here? And it's really tough to know. Even if you're entering a space that's already got a market, it may be saturated, it may be flushed completely full, it may be really difficult to differentiate yourself. But if you've got somebody who's willing to pay you to do something, then you've got a business. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's something I haven't heard anybody else talk about. But the way you're describing it, that makes a lot of sense. Because you got to wonder, there's maybe it's not so much of a wonder. You see the stats of businesses in their first 1 to 5 to 10 years, really, and the success rate, the little success rate that you see there, and it's like, what causes that? And obviously, there's just so many different factors. But I think what you're talking about has got to be maybe one of the top ones, and it's just how you enter into that business, what mindset, what's your goal, all that kind of stuff, and
Sure.
um, for you to have that mindset is huge, I would think, and help you be really successful in all the things you're doing. Because yeah, if you're getting people to pay you, like, there you go, man.
Business. That's all you need. This guy came into full Afterburner maybe 3 days ago, and he goes, "So you own this place, right?" I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Let me ask you some questions because I'm starting a business." I was like, "Here we go." Okay.
Here we go.
Because I mean, I've got so much failure under my belt. It's like I can immediately identify when somebody's talking to me and they are about to repeat that mistake.
Mm,
And this guy goes, "Yeah, I want to get into general contracting." I was like, "Okay, there's definitely a market there because people like building stuff. And you have to be licensed to build stuff." And he goes, "Yep, I'm going to install garage doors." And I was like, "That's great. Do you have a customer? Have you done one before?" He goes, "Yep, we've been paid to do it twice." I was like, "That's cool. So is that general contracting or is that garage door installing?" Because those are different things. One requires a
yeah.
serious license with a lot of time investment. The other one is putting in a garage door for somebody. You can get money from either one. Which one are you talking about? He goes, "That's great that you said that because I didn't know that." And I was like,
Hmm.
"Ah." And before we built Full Afterburner, we didn't know how many different licenses the city can actually issue. And it is a lot of permits and licensing. And you dig into why do you have to have this? And you think, well, I spoke to one of the engineers when we built the restaurant. I was like, why do we have to have this? And why do we have to this? And the engineer looks at me straight in the eye and he goes, Ben, restaurants burn down a lot.
Mm.
And I thought, that's terrifying. I never considered that my restaurant might burn down and kill people. It's terrifying. So
Yeah, for sure.
licensing matters,
Yeah.
And anyway, so helping this guy realize the diving board he was standing on, thinking he wanted to jump off when he really just wanted to do this. And then I said, look, if you're doing garage doors, he goes, yeah, I need a logo. I need a website. I need some marketing. I got to get my name out there. It's just that's how I'm going to get customers. And I thought, well, how many people have you already got to pay you to install a garage door? And he goes, 2. And I go, how'd you get him to do that if you didn't have a website and a logo?
Mm.
He goes, oh, well, it's this, this, and this. And I was like, you need to focus on that. If you can
Yeah.
repeat that, think I was like, how many people do you think you can get to pay you to install a garage door without that? Because if you can do that, now you're on step 2, which is not only do I have a business and customers, but now I've got to start thinking about how do I control costs?
Mm-hmm.
And the way I said it to him was, how much money do you think this restaurant makes? And I said, you're going to be wrong no matter what you guess. So just throw a number out there. What do you
Just
think?
yeah.
And he goes, this number. And I go, now, how much of that number do you think I get to keep? And these are questions that this young man, as a person who wants to start a business, had never really thought about. And it's the number one thing you've got to think about, which is you can make $14 million a month.
Mm-hmm.
But if you spend $16 million a month, it doesn't really matter. You're a bad business person.
Yep.
It's kind of like looking at your paycheck and going, I make $4,000 a month and I spend 5. And I know plenty of people who literally don't know what they're spending.
Mm-hmm.
So my brain works in spreadsheets and stuff. We write down all our monthly expenses. We write down what we think our non-monthly expenses are, things that like, oh, I wanted to buy this Amazon purchase, or I had to fill up the gas card twice, car with gas twice. So getting into the idea of controlling costs was interesting for him. And we sat and talked for maybe an hour while he had his calzone, and he was real happy. And, I hope he associated that experience with how good the food was, because I want, him to think, man, I want to feel that good again. Calzone shop,
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, that's a thing about business that I think a lot of people don't realize is you can make a ton of money, but you don't need every single thing they tell you need. You only need the things that get it done.
Yeah. Well,
You
you
know,
think about it. Why are they telling you need that? Why are they telling you have to have a logo? Why are they telling you have to have marketing on these places? Because you go to those companies and you then pay them
that's how
to
they
help,
make money.
and so they make money, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, those things are very beneficial, and for a business that is becoming more established, maybe has some of those, like you're talking about with this guy, he has some, some income, and you can start managing, okay, how much can I spend on this other stuff that can then help me grow from here. But you don't need to go into it saying I have to put all this money down immediately to get going right off the bat.
And the first thing this guy said to me was, he goes, man, I already got my LLC and everything. And I looked at him, I was like, dude, that's $50. That's $50 in like 4 minutes of your time.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, I didn't mean to burst his bubble. And I was like, so many people think that having a business means you've got all the formalities out of the way. Like you got the LLC, you got the EIN, you have a lawyer, you have a website, you bought the domain, you've got an email address. It's all tied together. You built your website. You've already engaged a marketing organization. You've already bought a building. I live in Cherry Creek, and there's people in Cherry Creek who think having a space means you have the business. And it's just not. Like having a customer means you have a business. And I was like, dude, you already got 2 customers. Why do you need any of that stuff?
Yeah.
Who cares if you have your LLC or not? Okay, you do need to have an LLC for a variety of reasons. That is a good step.
For sure.
But I was trying to make a point, not that he doesn't need an LLC. I was trying to make a point to him that you don't need everything for this status symbol in your mind of like, oh man, I got the website. It looks really good. It's really polished. It even works on the phone and stuff. And I was like, how do you think they did this 100 years ago? because they needed garage doors probably 100 years ago, and they got installed. You got to start with the customer. And since he had already done that, I was like, you need to realize you are already successful. Just repeat that. Get the website when it's time, when there's enough money, when there's $5,000 in your bank account and the website is 600. And they go, yeah, we should, okay, let's do that, because it's not that big a deal. It's usually not like, man, we've got $1,000 in our bank account, we got $5,000 in bills, we should buy a website because maybe it will create that income. And all too often, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, I can't tell you how much money I've wasted on marketing agencies. And one of the best things I learned was the slogan of the marketing world is you pay for efforts, not results. And I was like, man, what a crazy business that is to be in. Imagine if you paid me $10 and I was like, okay, Kevin, I'm going to go try to make a calzone. I'll let you know if it works out. And then I just stood there and looked at you. And I go, oh, it didn't work out this time. Sorry. I tried my hardest. Want to see
I
how
tried.
I really did try. Here's the
that's a pizza.
like you would look at me and you'd be like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. And I'd go, yeah, there's like thousands of us out here. And we'd all really love for you to come back next month. Wait a minute. Hang on. Stop right there.
No. I love it, man. This is good. I had asked you before the show, and you know, if there are kind of things that you do to kind of give back to the community and stuff, and not everybody does. I'm not trying to dime you out or anything, but what I want to say here is having conversations like this with people that you didn't have to do this. You could have been like, hey man, like, can we talk later? Can you make an appointment? Like I'm busy or whatever, and maybe kind of blown, but you took the time, you know, and not to say that this was and just a random, you know, like you never do this. I'm sure you do this all the time, and you do that with us, and a lot of your employees, you know, will talk to us and everything while, you know, making food and whatnot. But you went above and beyond, and you made an impact there. You know, somebody that is just getting out the door, you could have looked at him and like, you're like some sort of future competition. I'm not going to help you, but you imparted that knowledge upon, right? You imparted that knowledge upon them. And so I think that's something that I think every business owner should strive to get to the point of not just being successful, but then giving back that knowledge and everything as well. So major kudos to you for that. I think it's really, you know, interesting to hear that you've had what you said, 11 businesses before Afterburner.
Well, remember, a business is just an LLC in a lot of people's
right.
minds. I've had a lot of LLCs. And a lot of failures. It's hard to call them businesses, but it's just the easiest way to categorize it.
Right.
If you, I mean, I started an LLC and an EIN and bought the website and domain and email and tied it all together and made all the graphics and printed them out. And all it was a business delivering packages from my apartment's mailroom to the apartments.
Oh.
And I thought it was kind of a joke business, right? It was really just kind of silly, because I thought, how can Amazon be the most valuable company on the planet in the history of the human race, and they can't get the package like one more step, you know? Yeah. I thought, you know what we should do?
I got this, guys.
So it was called FFS Delivery Final Further Step. But really, it was my wife and I in a hot tub going, for fuck's sake, why can't they just bring this package up?
Right, exactly.
So FFS Delivery Services Club, because I was like, I want a subscription base. I want them to pay $10 a month. Yeah. And if you're on the list, I'll get your package. I even went in. I mean, AI comes in really handy when you want to accomplish certain things like coding. So I thought, well, let's create an app that, you know, when this happens, this automatically happens. When I dump an email in here, it automatically does this. That's where my IT background came in, and trying to make things efficient. Because if I can do the work of 5 people because I have a couple extra tools, that's just an edge, right? Yeah. But anyway, after posting it all down there, I mean, the lasting effect 6 months later is I donated the wire rack that I had from the restaurant to the mailroom, so and we just put first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, sixth floor. So now, instead of the Amazon drivers coming in and dumping 100 packages for everybody in my building, maybe they actually look at it and go 602, sixth floor, 802, eighth floor. I was down there just last night, and like when there's packages for the second floor on the 9th floor thing, I'm like, they can't even really get that right. Okay, I get it. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm out. But I guess the reason I'm telling you this story is um, nobody, I think, nobody's paid me to do that. I even did a
Sure.
few test runs, and I thought, I knew how fast I could deliver 100 packages and all this stuff. And I'd reached out to Amazon to say, can I be a delivery partner? Because they hire outsourced companies for certain legs of the last mile and that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So doing all that research and doing all that work, you could say I'd started a business. I had not started a business. I did not have a
Fair.
customer. I did not start with a customer. I started with, oh my God, you know what we should do? And unfortunately, when my wife sits in the hot tub, that's what we think about is what should we do next? And we go, oh my God, this
Yeah.
is what we should do next, you know? And sometimes there's a cocktail involved, and it's like, maybe we should stop doing that. Maybe we should stop starting businesses when we're one cocktail deep. We started another
Hey.
business. Okay, we live in Denver, so we did an edible one time, and we started this business in the middle of that 4-hour edible, effect.
Yeah.
And it was a clothing line for one of my friends who lives in the building, and he's really popular at the pool, and everybody knows him. Everybody knows where he lives. So it was his apartment loungewear.com. And it was like clothes with their faces on it and like flamingos and beachwear and stuff.
Jeez.
And we spent $300 on a domain for 2 years
Wow.
because we thought we're going to live here for a while and this is going to be funny. And he's always
Yeah.
going to live in that
Sure.
apartment. So like, they'll probably like people love this guy. They'll probably buy the clothes. I bought one. So I was the customer. I wore it down to the pool. Everybody laughed.
Yeah.
Not one sale.
Nope.
Not one.
Nope.
So yeah, you don't need to have all that stuff to have a business. You got to start with a customer. You don't even really need an idea. Somebody will come up to you and say, you know what I like? You know what I would pay? You go, hey man, would you pay for that? And if they go, yeah, you go, how much? And they go, I'd pay $10 for that calzone. Cool. Start a calzone shop. How many people can you get to pay you $10?
Yeah.
That's the next question is, yeah, how big does this thing get?
Exactly. Without getting ahead of yourself, like what you're saying. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, without spending too much, without making sure that more money's going out than's coming in, and that's where a lot of people go wrong too. Is in the commissary where a lot of food trucks have to gather and have a licensed facility to operate out of. All of us chefs would kind of talk about how our business is going, right? And I remember one time this guy said, "Man, I make the best octopus taco you've ever had," and I thought, that's a strange one. You be you, man. It's Colorado. Do your thing, whatever you want. Who cares?
Let's
I
have
like
Rocky Mountain oysters. So whatever.
I like fighter jets. You like octopus tacos. Like, who cares?
There you go. Who cares?
I said, how's your spreadsheet stuff? How are you? Are you dialed in financially? And he goes, oh, not so good. And I thought, there we are, right there.
Yeah.
So not only do you need to start with a customer, maybe he had started with a customer because he'd probably cooked that food, given it to people, and they said, this is great. You should sell this. The next question is, hey man, would you have given me $10 for this meal? Because giving free food away and people praising it is not a business. Everyone's like, oh my God, you should sell your pastries on, well, there's a difference between people praising you and saying you're doing something good and people saying, here's my money.
Yeah.
And that's why friends are always the worst when it comes to judging whether or not you've got a great deal, because they want to support you. And I read this book by Joe Bastianich called Restaurant Man. And one of the things I took away from his book was your real friends who really want to support you will insist on paying full price and not getting a discount because they know what you've put into it. They know you need to make money. There's a profit margin in there. So when you get people who say, what about that friends and family discount, or sort of expect to be fed for free, those people aren't your support bracket. You should not be looking to them for that feeling of validation and success, because anybody will take free stuff. It's the people who go, here's my money. That's when you look at them and go, man, I'm doing something right. And if you can get a lot of people to give you money for the thing that you want to do, then you start seeing how big it can get. It drives me nuts when I see businesses where they skip a lot of that. There's one particular business in Cherry Creek where, if you've got the money already,
right.
And what I mean is if you have all the money, already
Mm-hmm.
in Cherry Creek. I live in a cheap apartment in Cherry Creek. I do not have a giant penthouse. When you have all the money and then you start a business and you don't really care if you have customers, and I'm sure they care if they have customers, but like if the
It's
rent
different.
is not even due because you own the building,
Yeah.
do you really have a business? Like you might have the LLC and the website and the logo and the packaging and the doorbell sound when they walk in the door. But if rent is not even due and we don't even know how many customers you need to have to survive, do you really
Right.
have a business? Have people really voted with their money and said, this is it? This is the one, you know?
Yeah.
All the places I could go for this thing, I'm going here. And here's my money, you know? So when you see a business that doesn't have to go through some of those struggles, they either got really, really lucky or they have not had to climb that ladder, which yes, technically they have a business, they have an LLC, they have a website, they have a logo, but do they have something that deserves to be a business if you take all that away?
Right.
You know, if
I
you
see what
take
you're
those
saying.
advantages away of like, oh, I own the building already, so there's not. I mean, we just closed a business after 2 years that had $15,000 a month in rent.
Right.
Think how many vodka sodas that is at $10. That is a
Right.
lot of people who have to go, I want this, just so that one landlord can get paid. Not the employees, not buying products, not any marketing, not power, not insurance, etc.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I got a lot of complaints when you get into that world, but I really love it when I
No.
see a business or an entrepreneur who is sticking it out, who understands, and they've got customers and they've got a product people really like. And I think, man, I can't wait till my next idea comes like that and I get that type because I've had to struggle for every customer I've ever gotten, and it's because I start with
Mhm.
those ideas instead of those customers. You know,
Right. No, these are, hopefully for anybody out there listening that's wanting to start their own business, these are ideas you're sitting back and you're really contemplating, how am I approaching this idea? How am I approaching this business aspiration? Is it, through the lens of what everything we've talked about? Okay, I've gotten all the formalities out of the way. Cool, I'm a business. Or, hey, I have something that people are willing to pay me for. And then on the other hand, yeah, it's like, if you don't need customers to survive because you have so much money that it doesn't, like, is that a business or is that a hobby? Is that a hobby that you can afford to have it in a business or in a building? And so I totally get where you're coming from, because at the end of the day, a business is meant to be profitable. And if you're staying open and not profitable because you don't get customers, maybe that's not a business. I don't know.
who's your dad? What's your family like? Yeah.
Oh, look, and not to dime out, in the podcasting sphere, you see that all the time. I'm not going to name names either, but there's a couple big name Broncos podcasts, and they have money behind them. I don't have any money behind me.
I bet you
Like,
celebrate every single time you get 5 new followers.
are you kidding me? It's
I've
yeah,
seen
I'm
that.
not even kidding you.
Yeah.
I see that number tick up any amount, and I'm like, it's just fascinating that people are wanting to listen to me talk more, and
Sure.
maybe they just are like, this guy's really annoying. I want to just tell him how much he's wrong. I don't care. That's interacting. That's thriving my business, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Not that
probably
I look for that, but
that's probably a secret edge that you have to have in your business is if you got to say stuff that makes people go like turn and look and go, what did he say?
yeah. Oh, and then there's a difference. There's clickbait, right? And then there's people making valid points or points that are just meant to make you think, right?
Sure.
And there's a lot of clickbait out there, right? So there's a lot of probably businesses out there that will they do the gimmicky things to get you in the door, or in my case, to click the link, and then you get there and you're like, what?
I didn't want a subscription to this meal service. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what am I doing? Okay, I'm leaving now, right? So there's a lot of,
Business, man. I understand, and we're in this economy
Yeah.
now where the customer is simply attention. They vote with their.
Yeah.
My wife has started a TikTok. She's grown it from less than 1,000 followers to over almost 8,000 now in a matter of months. You can see behind me there's a harp. She's a harpist for her entire life. She's principal harpist in 3 or 4 orchestras, and the TikTok thing is probably going to become a business, meaning it's hard to think about that in the terms that we just described, because there's not really a customer. They vote with their eyeballs, not with their dollars. And that's an interesting new way to look at it. And TikTok's provided a platform where that's okay. We turn eyeballs into money. TV's been doing that for 100 years. YouTube's doing that. This attention economy is kind of neat, except now we've all got these devices in our hands where the TV goes with you, and we don't have to guess at who's watching. We know exactly what the ROI is on exactly every lever that you pull. So it's, there's not a lot of overhead when you shoot harp videos from your phone, and of course, a harp is a pretty expensive instrument. She's had it her whole life though. But when you scroll through TikTok or Facebook or YouTube or whatever it is, anybody can just be a personality. I used to say that I really had a lot of respect for musicians because, I still have respect for musicians, but what I mean is anybody can pick up a guitar and start learning. Like if you have hands and you can strum a guitar, you are officially competing in the music space.
Sure, that makes sense.
So when people say, I want to be a musician, I want to be on stage, I want to be a performer of some kind, I thought, man, you're literally competing with everyone out there who has hands and has a song to sing, even if somebody else's song. And then I come from a background of movie making. I got a film degree, and I wanted to produce and direct action movies. So I've got 2 of them out there. They were on Netflix and Amazon, and then there was a little bit of a rights dispute. So now they're not. Thank God, because no one should be subjected to those action movies. They were I don't want to say they were very, very bad, because one of my friends who was in them is very famous now.
So, wow. There you go. Jeez.
But he would prefer that, nobody ever sees it. And I agree with him completely.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, when you're competing with the movie space, you're competing with this many people who are capable of getting a camera, capable of convincing people to be on camera, capable of convincing a location to allow us to shoot there. I mean, we got as far as blowing up a car with the bomb squad and coordinating that with 100 people. I mean, we had a lot of, I always tell people it's the most fun I've ever had and the least amount of money I've ever made. So is that a business? Not really.
Not really. It was fun,
it was
but
like would do again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when people say, "Oh man, that's so cool, the arts, I want to be a musician," I'm like, you are officially competing with a lot more people than I chose to compete with. And then in food, almost anybody can cook, and everybody thinks their cooking is good. Well, not everybody, but plenty of people do, and plenty of people are encouraged to sell their cooking to other people. So those places that have big marketplaces with a lot of competitors, it's really difficult to get people to vote with their dollars versus just say, "Oh yeah, you got a nice croissant there. Nice job."
Yeah, there you go.
Good job. Would you be willing to drive 30 minutes and pay me $9 when a croissant is $4 at Sam's Club?
Yeah, no.
Maybe not. I don't know. How much is the rent?
Right. Yeah, fair enough.
Or how much is, like, if you want to do this because you love it and you don't want to be an electrician anymore, then what's your rent? Because it has to replace your rent.
Exactly.
So I love business stuff and creating new ideas and building business. What I really hate to see also is when people have a great business that a lot of customers love. I'm talking line around the block. And let me give you a perfect, and they don't really know how to execute at scale.
Gotcha.
A good example is I love going to the movies. I love movie theaters. I always have since I was a kid. That's why I wanted to grow up and be an action movie director. When you go to the movies, they have a line of 300 people that all have to be there at the same time. And then you got a concession stand, and you got 2 lines of 50 people and 2 employees back there working, but 9 cashier stations.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm like, how does a business that is not new, how have they not solved the problem of, we got 100 people standing in the lobby and we need to get their money as fast as we can before they decide to skip this extra money donation part? I hate it when I see somebody who's really got something special that people are ready to spend money on, and they simply can't execute on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a shame, and I'm so jealous because I want those ideas.
I want that problem. Yeah.
I wish I had a problem that was there's 150 people that want my
Dying
product,
to give me their money. Yeah.
and like my big problem is how fast can I take their money because I'm kind of slow at that. But that's
Those are
my
goals we
problem.
all
I
have.
have. We figured out how to do 70 calzones an hour without breaking a sweat, and occasionally,
Yeah.
in the last 3 years, we get 5 to 10 customers, an hour on like a Tuesday night. And people are like, "Oh my God, how are you running this whole thing yourself?" I'm like, dude, I've scaled this up big time. 10 customers an hour I can do in my sleep.
Right. Exactly.
When I see other people with really successful businesses that aren't able to execute at scale, that's one of my favorite things. And that's where my IT brain kind of comes in and goes, what levers do we need to pull to be able to make you 10 times more successful with half the effort?
Yeah.
Even when I was an IT guy, the company I worked at, they did $60 million a year in revenue,
Hmm.
and they hadn't really analyzed their payroll or their methods to see where. I asked the CEO, as an IT guy for a small, okay, it wasn't a small business, $60 million, but it was less than 200 people here at a business in Denver. I asked the CEO, I was like, how come we're not doing 100 million with half the people?
Right.
Because I had done some research into the numbers and the spreadsheets and everything. And I thought you could eliminate 15 of these and 38 of these and buy from this supplier and be on this time schedule and use this system. If you plug those numbers into the spreadsheet, the numbers get higher and the costs go down. And one lesson he said to me that I think I'm still at 42 years old, too young enough to agree with. He goes, um, Ben, do you know how much brain damage it takes to make $100 million? And I looked at him and I
Hmm.
thought, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
I pray I have that problem, and I pray I learned that lesson. Someone please teach me that lesson.
Yeah.
And I think what he really meant is what I've learned is it's the people. It's not the systems or the website or how efficient your website is or how efficient your customer pipeline is or your turnaround or how many touches before you get a customer. The
Mm-hmm.
brain damage is when things go wrong, because they always do.
Yep.
I've not had a business where things did not go wrong. In the military, I think they would say no plan survives enemy contact,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I still think that they could have made significantly more money and paid a significant lower cost. But that's not, I mean, he was 60 and here I am, I was 35 at the time. Here I am 42. It's like, sometimes that's just a lesson I haven't really learned yet. So I think
Yeah.
about how much brain damage it took for me to go to like quitting my job to being a food truck guy. That was a lot of
Right.
stress. That was a lot of risk,
Yeah. I was.
and then to go put $13,000 down as a deposit on a brick and mortar was a lot of stress too. I'd never handed over that much money before for something that I think might work.
Right.
Question mark. Now we had a food
Yeah.
truck. We knew we had the right recipe and the right execution and how fast it takes. Like we knew what money we were capable of making. That does not mean customers walked in the door. Oh, by the way, then COVID hit.
Yep. Exactly. Surprise.
So how much brain damage will it take for me to go from one store to 5 stores? It might be easy to scale that math up and say we need this many ovens and this kind of insurance policy and this many employees and this kind of pay rate
Right.
and this type of or unemployment insurance policy. You can plug all those numbers in. What goes wrong usually is the employees aren't available or the employees get hired and then they quit the next day. I've had that happen. I've hired 48 people
Oh my
in 7
gosh.
years. That has happened many times. I had one employee quit in the middle of the Super Bowl at a calzone shop. He literally, my wife Hillary and I sat down at our own place to enjoy the Super Bowl because I'll watch it for commercials.
Sure.
And the employee, we couldn't believe that sitting down in a place that we built for probably the first time in 2 or 3 years as a customer to enjoy
Hmm.
the Super Bowl with one beer.
Yeah.
The employee said, "You guys got this," and he just left.
Wow.
What he was
Wow.
apparently what he was upset about was that the owners were in here drinking a beer while he had to do the work.
There's that if that's a daily occurrence and it's not one beer, it's a lot, right? And you're doing shots and you're basically just using your business as your own personal bar
Sure,
that you don't have to pay. Okay, you have a problem there.
I
But
agree.
you guys are allowed to sit down. Yeah, come on. Like, and to not even say, hey guys, could you like explain? Like, I have a little bit of problem with this. Like, could you explain to me? Like, this isn't going to be an everyday thing, is it? Or like, hey,
Sure.
let's address these concerns. But for someone to just be like, no, I don't like this, I'm leaving, dude. Okay, like, wow,
Well,
that's crazy.
this was someone who had been there 2 weeks. They were sort of qualified to run the place by themselves. They had food experience, low stress, all that. We look for all those things. I do a 5 hour orientation because I want to show people what they're going to be coming up against, especially on Broadway. You get every single type of
Yeah.
demographic and customer out there. So you got to be prepared for
Mm-hmm.
some of these things.
Yeah.
And this guy was, and this still happened. And then I did text him later, sort of as an exit interview, and say, "Hey, if you don't mind telling me, what was it that made you do this? Because I'd like to learn for the next guy, so I don't do this for the next guy." And he said, "Honestly, I like to be able to have a drink at work, and in kitchens, apparently that's a thing. It's never been a thing where a kitchen where I've
Hmm.
been a part of, but drinking and those kinds of things on the job in the kitchen, he wanted to make sure that was part of what he was doing, and it
Hmm.
made him upset that I get to sit there and have a beer and he doesn't, while he's making, I shit you not, he was making like 3 calzones,
Oh my
which
gosh.
I'm making 60 or 70 an hour at my limit.
Yeah.
3 calzones in, I'm guessing, like a 15-minute period time equals 12 calzones an hour.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the easiest thing you could imagine doing as a kitchen employee.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's when things go wrong, that's what you got to be prepared for, is how much brain damage is that? I mean, I just brought it up on a podcast, so obviously I'm still thinking about it. Like, what are the things
For
that have
sure.
gone wrong in my business, and how much brain damage does that do to you? It makes entrepreneurs usually go, maybe I ought to just keep my job. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. For sure.
So yeah, it's probably all the brain damage to make $100 million. I don't know. I sure hope I get to figure that out, because then I
Right.
will. My mission in life, I think, is to be as generous as I can. But to be generous, generally there has to be some leftover discretionary money, and I think
Right.
for everybody right now, since about September 2023, we've noticed a lot of businesses out there. The numbers are going down.
Hmm.
So it's hard to endure the brain damage and watch the numbers go down. Um, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I got it, man. I got it. Dude, Ben, I appreciate all of your insights, your lessons that you're passing along here. You're teaching me a whole bunch of things, and it's fantastic, man. I love this conversation. This is great. I do want to say, as the next 18 months progresses, whether whatever happens with the space down there on Broadway for Afterburner and stuff, obviously it doesn't matter what happens at the end of the day. You're a guy that's going to keep going and pressing. And maybe Afterburner, worst case scenario, it has to go away for a while or whatever. You're going to find something else to do, man. Right. That's very clearly who you are.
I'm
So,
currently starting a couple other businesses in the background also. So
well, dude, this is perfect because I definitely want to have you on again and talk more about the other stuff you have going on. I want to hear how Afterburner's going. I think you have a really awesome business model. And the thing that, again, I appreciate about your business and walking to Afterburner is I'm always greeted in a very friendly manner. The food is always very quick, very fresh, and just absolutely delicious. And it's just a very good environment to be in. Again, yeah, it's a smaller place, but I never feel like I'm being rushed out. Like, you go to McDonald's or Taco Bell where you sit there and they purposely make it not look that good because they want you out of there, right? That's not the vibe here. Like, this is a place you can go and just enjoy yourself. So this is a great thing you got going on, man, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. We've made a few changes in the last 6 months or so where we said, we need to create a place where people want to come and sit.
Yeah.
And I ask a lot of the employees or the prospect employees, how do you create that hospitality? And they go, oh well, it's being nice, it's being friendly, it's making sure to talk to people friendly. And I go, hang on, how do you display hospitality that is not related to the people?
Mhm.
And they always get this spotlight on them, and they go like, oh my god, it's a pop quiz I'm not prepared for. And I go, no, think about it like this: if you're at someone's doorstep and they open the door, do you just walk in, or
Right.
do they say, come in? Now, do you just leave your coat on the whole time? Or is their dog jumping on you? Is it completely trashed with cat hair like my place is? What's the lighting like? Do they have the music on too loud? I thought, I was like, there's so much in an environment that matters to create hospitality, and we all recognize it without thinking twice. But
Yeah.
what we looked at Afterburner is, well, we turned every screw in this place. It looks home rolled because it is home rolled. We're not a big
Mhm.
corporation with $500,000 to hire tons of contractors to do everything perfectly.
Mhm.
We're like, I have this extra wood over here. How can I create something that looks hospitable? So we tried to put a few things in there that are a little more hospitable lately. Like we installed some beer taps so that when people walk in, they think, I can get a calzone and a beer. That means I have to stay. Then they look
Yeah.
around and they go, would I want to stay here? What's the TV
Yeah.
situation like? What's the lighting like? Does it look comfortable? Does it look clean? And you just start evaluating all these things in your head. Now, as a restaurant person, now when I walk into restaurants, I can't not do that.
Right. Exactly.
But customers do it too. They just don't realize it. They walk in and they're
Sure.
either immediately judging, should I be here or should I be somewhere else?
Right.
So it means a lot to me that people are able to articulate that you're getting those messages of, it looks hospitable, you want us to stay. The next thing it's kind of difficult to do is to put on a movie that people enjoy, because I don't want to just play Top Gun on repeat,
Oh God.
whichever.
Yeah. You would be. Yeah. You drive yourself insane. Yeah.
Well, I won't drive myself insane because I love fighter jets, but I think I'll drive everyone else completely insane.
Exactly. Right.
So, and we get a lot of people that come in and they go, "Oh my god, I hate Tom Cruise," and I'm like, "Good thing we're not Tom Cruise themed."
Yeah. We're not exactly. That's not.
Yeah.
There are no
Uh,
Tom Cruise pictures anywhere in there. I can
Yeah,
verify
like
that. Yes.
my wife watches Hocus Pocus in here like 3 times a day. Lately, we're stuck on this movie called Violent Night. Have you seen Violent Night?
No, I haven't. I've
Dude,
heard of it. It's a Christmas like scary movie, right?
it's not scary. It's
Oh,
like if
okay.
Die Hard met Home Alone.
Oh, maybe I haven't heard. Maybe I'm thinking something different then. Okay, I'll check it
But
out.
David Harbour playing a Viking version of Saint Nick, and
Oh,
it's
jeez.
so awesome. And my wife watches it on repeat, 8 hours in there, and I think it's great, and she thinks it's great. And there's a lot of violence and blood and cuss words, but it's tongue in cheek, and it's supposed to be kind of funny. But
Yeah,
me and
yeah,
you are older men,
yeah.
so we think of that as fun. Whereas like 19-year-olds or parents with kids might not be like, oh, it's
Mm,
I don't know if I should bring my kids here.
sure.
So lately, I've tried to put on movies that are family friendly to maybe encourage that. Like just last night, I had a dad bring in 2 kids, and I thought, what's on the TV? What are they looking at? Because I want to see jet
Mhm.
videos and I want to see a movie that they can relate to. Now, trying to relate to teenagers is like a futile
That's a different.
enterprise.
Yeah, you
Why would
can't.
you even bother? Like, no matter what you do, it's dumb.
It's dumb.
They looked at the menu and they were like, and he looks at me and this kid goes, "Do you have cheese pizza?" And I realized that a customer on Broadway after midnight that's wasted, I can say, yeah, man, if you want old pizza, like go to 7-Eleven.
Right.
But to
Exactly.
this 11-year-old, I can't say that.
No, you can't.
I was like, yeah, man, I'm going to take your pizza and I'm going to roll it up like a breadstick and you're going to eat it like a breadstick. And he's like, oh my God, that's so great.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah. And then the teenager, I think he looked like he's probably 14 or 15. And he didn't even look at the menu. He just goes, I'll take a cheese one or a pepperoni one. And I was like, okay. And I did decide to mess with him a little bit because the dad was looking at me like, kids are a pain in the ass, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yep.
I got that vibe from it. And I was like, I looked at his son and I was like, you know what you should do, dude? You should look at the menu and see what you really want.
There you go. There you go. I like it, man.
Being hospitable is tough with a variety of customers and a variety of ages. How about that?
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I'm glad that you think it's hospitable and you think it's awesome. That makes me feel pretty good.
100%. And that's what I've told everybody. If everyone says they're going downtown for something, like, go check out Afterburner.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So for everybody else out there, if you have a chance, go downtown Denver, check these guys out. Ben, thank you very much for your time today, man. I want to definitely have you on again in the future.
Sure.
As we're recording this, people are listening to this probably as part 2. I think I'm probably going to split this up into 2 different ones, just because I think the conversation was really good here. And I'll make sure people have a chance to really think about it and break it up. But again, let's have you on in the future, buddy. And I'm sure I'll see you at Afterburner before too long. And just great conversation. Thank you very much, man.
You got it, dude. I'll be happy to come back anytime and talk about whatever you need.
Awesome, dude. Guys, thank you for listening to another episode of Behind the Small Business episode. Ben here from a full Afterburner Calzone, downtown Denver on Broadway. Go check them out, guys. Great food, great atmosphere. But I just appreciate you guys tuning in and listening. This is an open invitation for all business owners to come up on stage here with me, be in your own podcast episode, no strings attached, nothing like that. We just want to help you promote your business and paint you in the best light possible. So reach out to us, give us, put something in the comments or send us an email or something. Just say, I want to be on the podcast, and we will get you set up. So reach out to us today, and we'll hopefully have you on here soon. Also, again, this is sponsored by Centennial State Insurance Agency. Make sure you reach out to us today if you're looking for any kind of personal or commercial insurance, and we would be more than happy to get you set up with a free quote and get you taken care of. That phone number is 303-838-0554, 303-838-0554. With that being said, guys, we've been talking a lot today. It's been a great conversation. Ben, thank you again. And we will see everybody else here next time on another episode of Behind the Small Business. Take care.